Hi, everyone. Welcome to the blockchain meeting. So let's just get started. All right. I think the format for today's meeting will probably do a bit of like an atypical meeting again, where we'll just kind of go over the chain status. And then we'll probably just only talk about kind of like the hot fixes that are happening right now, just so that we can kind of conserve everyone's time and focus. Okay, for some reason, the document ending is weird. Okay. Oh, why am I not sending? Yeah, give me 1 second. I'm not signed in. In the meantime, does someone want to give the mainnet status?
Sure. So yesterday, mainnet experienced some downtime due to an issue that required a hotfix for invalidating certain kinds of transactions that prior to the hotfix would cause nodes to crash. So this crash manifested in the network sort of as the hotfix was going out. But since that hotfix has been released and miners seem to have applied it, blocks are moving forward again. Yeah.
Oh. Testnet update?
Nothing with testnet. The same patch was applied in testnet, but that's about it.
All right. So discussion items. Right before this, we had a sync for the hot fixes that are kind of being worked on right now. So we'll probably just continue that discussion. But first we can give like a brief update on like what the major issues are. So the first update is we've been working on a POX3 contract. So most of the development work for that, or all of it, is done. And most of the testing is done too. And so the second thing that is happening on the blockchain is we have to roll out an additional patch for an issue the fuzz tester revealed. And so that's something that we're working on today, and tests for that are also being worked on today. Yeah. In addition, we'll also be merging in the hot fix that was like created for yesterday's issue. So I think those are the main three things. Did I miss anything? Anyone want to add more context?
No, I can add a little bit more context. So the issue that required the hotfix yesterday, sort of in the long term, should also get a fix to some of the sort of like internal type checking functions in Clarity that lead to the issue, because right now the sort of fix for the issue is to invalidate the transactions that sort of trigger it. But ultimately, the better solution is to sort of fix that function so that you don't sort of trigger this behavior. And so that fix should be included in 2.4, and we'll have to update the SIP to discuss that. But that is sort of the other consensus change that is being worked on and tested currently, which is sort of also impacting, I guess, like the implementation timelines of 2.4.
Cool. So we were discussing testing. I'll just show the other doc that we were looking at. So we discussed some of the POX changes, the POX3 tests that we created, including unit tests and some end-to-end tests. Then we were discussing other types of testing. So Aaron was adding unit tests for least super type and the deserialization changes. And that's kind of where we were in discussing testing. So we should probably just continue.
Yeah, that was my update on testing for the 2.4 changes. Where we have some unit tests for POX3. I'm currently working on unit tests for the set of changes that I was just talking about, which impacts least super type. Yeah, just more unit tests are needed there, and checks around epoch gating behavior, because we need to make sure that prior to epoch 2.4, sort of the old broken behavior still gets applied to blocks, but after epoch 2.4, the behavior changes. So that's sort of the current status of that work stream.
Cool. Any other tests that need to be created that no one is the owner of yet?
I think that we still need some basically neon integration style tests for POX3 behavior. Yeah, those are like end-to-end tests that can run in the Stacks blockchain's CI as opposed to the sort of DevNet end-to-end tests that Bryce has been working on.
So for that one, I can probably take a look at that today as well. So would that involve like porting over some of the tests that Bryce wrote in his end-to-end framework? Potentially, some like things like that.
Not necessarily. Like it's probably okay to use basically port over the existing POX2 tests that use this framework to POX3, and then maybe add one or two more tests that cover the new behavior, or alter those tests so that they cover some of the new behavior. Yeah.
All right. Did you get a chance to look at the test that I pushed up?
I have not yet.
Okay, I will
Yeah.
just try and finish that test then. And see where I get with that. Okay. Any other notes?
So I'm working on the clarinet tests right now, and I'm trying to work around the fact that the STX account built-in function doesn't work. So I wrote a clarity function to get the locked balance from the data structures, but I think I did something wrong, and that doesn't seem to be working. So I'm looking at that right now.
I had a question about POX3 and the timing as well. I was curious when we launched this, there's a few contracts waiting for it. I know like Figures Fast Pool, and over at City Coins, we're going to be stacking treasuries. Do we know what the timeline looks like for stackers to stack before a cycle starts, or do we have any insight into that?
Yeah. So basically, if we hit the activation times proposed in CIP22, there's a specific burn height at which activation will occur, which is also when the POX3 contract will be instantiated. And I think that that's only like 200 blocks before the prepare phase for the next cycle. So that would give you that window basically to stack. For the exact block heights, you can look at SIP 22. That is assuming that we hit those activation heights, which like if testing is not concluded with enough time to make a release, then we won't be hitting those that activation height, because ultimately, like, if we don't have an implementation for SIP 22 in place, then SIP 22 will not activate at that height.
Okay, that definitely makes more sense. So for anybody preparing on the contract side, just be ready to execute right after the block height and then kind of watch for updates as we're getting close.
Yeah.
Any other notes?
It might be worth noting that fuzz testing in CI is now working, so we might be able to have better test coverage for the work that's going on currently and then in the immediate future. So I have a PR for that.
Awesome.
Right,
Yeah, the fuzz testing framework has been super useful.
Yeah, definitely.
cool. We can review that, probably try merging that in.
We probably can't merge the fuzz testing CI PR yet, just because, yeah, it ends up doing a bunch of including a bunch of stuff that's kind of scary.
I
And
see, I
so,
see.
yeah, we probably need to keep it in a branch for now.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
But we can only use it in CI if we merge it, right? So I guess it wouldn't be for this time around.
Not necessarily. GitHub Actions still run on PRs, and so as long as the GitHub Actions in the PR are like aware of the fact that they only run in a branch, then it should be fine.
All right. All right. All right, let's end for today. Unless anyone has any other comments. All right. See you guys.
Well, see ya.